Hello everyone, I am back again and I am here with my darker lipstick on because I'm going to do my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. Now if you followed my channel before, you know that I am a huge horror movie junkie and the horror genre is my favorite genre of movie. So I thought I'd compile a list of my favorite horror films. Now, some of these movies, as I was looking over them, kind of cross genres. So it might be a horror movie, but it might also be like a musical. It could be a horror movie and it could be a horror comedy. So there's a bunch of different, like a good mix in here, and it was so hard to even narrow it down to 10. I was gonna do 5, but it was way too hard to pick a top 5, so I had to pick a top 10. And even in my top 10, I still feel like I left so many out that I love. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead. There's a lot in here. I don't want this video to be like 1,000 years long. So here we go. At number 10, I have The Ring. This was definitely the big horror movie when I was growing up. And I feel like at every slumber party, if you were gonna get scared, you were gonna watch The Ring. This could have been just my generation, but I feel like with Naomi Watts and the little boy, I can't remember the little actor's name, but they're so good together. And just Asian horror movies in general, like, I don't think no Asian horror movies made my list, but this is obviously a remake. And Asian horror movies always creep me out anyway. So when this came out, I just remembered I left my lights on when I went to sleep for like 3 weeks after I watched this. I think it's just, I don't know if it's like the creepy, like decayed girl who comes out of the well. That to me is scary, or like that's like something that would scare me personally, but that has always like scared me. Like even when I watch it now, it still freaks me out and it takes me back to the time when I was younger at the slumber party and I had to leave the light on. So number 10 is The Ring. Number 9 is the Nicole Kidman movie, The Others. And I love this movie. It's more of like a mystery kind of thriller, and it is a horror movie at its core, but the whole movie relies on Nicole Kidman and her children's performances. Not her children, like her children, but the actors in the movie. I don't know why I needed to clarify that. But it relies on them and their reactions to things happening in their house. It is a haunted house movie at its core, with a huge twist. And the first time I saw it, I didn't know what the twist was. So it blew my mind. I'm not going to ruin it here because obviously if you haven't seen it, I would totally go watch any of these movies that I have on my list. I would totally recommend any of them. But this one is definitely for the first time watcher who doesn't know the twist. It is mind-blowing. Nicole Kidman is amazing in it. I think it is one of her best movies. Just an all-around good horror movie. Number 8, I have a newer horror movie, and it is The Conjuring. It is one of James Wan's newer horror movies, and I think he is a horror genius. All of his movies, horror movies that have come out recently that I've seen, have just not rewritten the genre, but has taken the horror genre, which was kind of stale and was kind of torture porny for a long time, and it made it serious. It made it something that people would want to watch. Maybe not people who are so much into the horror genre would want to go see it. And this one, again, is basically a haunted house movie, and it is so well done. It is so well shot. The acting is incredible and just so well directed. And what makes it even creepier is that it is a true story, and whether you believe in this kind of stuff or not, And even watching the Warrens, who are the investigators in the Conjuring movies, seeing their real life and seeing the family. And like, I watched like documentaries about this. Like after I saw The Conjuring, I was like so into it. Just like seeing the real life stuff, it's scary. It's scarier knowing that it could have possibly happened, you know? So I just think it's excellent, and it's one of the best horror movies recently made. So number 7 is The Orphanage, or Orphanage. I'm looking down because I have it sitting here on my shelf. It is, I believe, produced by Guillermo del Toro. I'm not sure who directed it. I probably should look. Oh well, I'm not going to stop the video to look, but I'll put it down in the description. It's a Spanish horror film, and I'm not usually a person who enjoys reading subtitles as I'm watching a movie. It kind of takes me out of it a little bit, but this one you almost forget the subtitles are there. It is that good, and you're just so invested in this woman's story. It's basically about this woman who loses her son on the day of his birthday party, and you just kind of follow her in her like spiral, and her just trying to find her son, and it is so well done and so well shot, and it's one of those atmospheric, like, it just creeps you out. Nothing really truly, it's not like jump scares. It's not like there's scares every 5 minutes. It's more like you're going along with her. You're trying to figure it out too. And the atmosphere in the movie is just so creepy. I have never been so creeped out just by like someone just walking around a house in any movie I've ever seen. You just get the vibes. Like you feel like you're in it too. And I think that is just brilliant all the way across the board, that they can make you feel that way. And the actress, I forget her name, I'm so sorry, I probably should have looked up all these names, but the main actress is so good and so believable, and it's just an all around well-made movie. So number 6 is one of the movies I talked about kind of crossing genres, and I knew I couldn't make my favorite horror films of all time list without including one of the Child's Play franchise movies, so I picked Bride of Chucky. One, because it is my favorite of the Chucky movies, and I love Jennifer Tilly. If you followed my channel, you know I'm a huge fan of hers. I think she's so underrated, and she definitely shines in all of the Child's Play movies that she's in, but specifically this one, and she's only in it like in the flesh for like 10 minutes worth of the movie, but her voice acting and her being there for 10 minutes, she's such a presence that you kind of want her back, you know? And I just love the Chucky movies. I don't know what it is. It's my favorite horror franchise, and I felt like I couldn't put like a bunch on this list, but that is definitely my favorite, my standout out of all of the movies. So that was number 6, was Bride of Chucky. Number 5, another genre crossing movie. It is Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, the Tim Burton version. I really love this movie. If you watched my channel before, I think I've mentioned this movie about 1 trillion times. I think it is so underrated. You don't really hear a lot of people talking about it, and especially when people are talking about Tim Burton movies, they don't really say like this one or name this one as like one of his best ones, but I think this was his best movie. I think it was one of the best movies taken from stage to screen, and definitely I think one of the best Sondheim adaptions. And I really love Stephen Sondheim. If you don't know who that is, definitely look it up. If you're not a theater person like I am, definitely look him up. He has made some brilliant shows, created some brilliant shows in his time, and Sweeney Todd is definitely one of them. Johnny Depp does a great job as Sweeney Todd. I love Helena Bonham Carter, and to me, they play it very subtle in the show on stage. I won't go too much into this, but on the stage, they play it very over the top, and I like how they toned it down in the film and made it very dark and moody. And I just love it's another atmosphere kind of film, and I just love how they did it. I just think it was just perfect. Perfect directing, perfect acting, perfect adaptation, overall perfect horror musical. Not many of those around. So number 4, I had to put The Exorcist on here. It is definitely a classic, and I didn't realize how few classic horror movies I put on my list. And I don't know, and I'm sorry for the lighting, it's kind of going out. The lighting situation here is not the best. I'm gonna have to figure it out, but I realized when I was doing this list, I didn't pick a lot of truly classic horror films, and that kind of surprised me because I love classic horror films. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be The Exorcist. It is described by many as one of the scariest movies of all time, and I can definitely see that, but it is just a well-made movie, and it definitely stands the test of time. It's not necessarily the scariest movie I've ever seen. This kind of stuff doesn't scare me that much, but I can appreciate how much it was a groundbreaking film for its time, and it still holds up to this day, and I can still watch it over and over and over and enjoy it. So number 4 was The Exorcist. Number 3 is Misery. It is adapted from the Stephen King novel, and Kathy Bates gives the performance of her career in this movie, and James Caan is also great as the author who's in bed, trapped. To me, this kind of stuff, like the more realistic horror movies really kind of get to me more. And this kind of seems like it could happen. Like, freaky stuff like this probably happens every day. People, you know, are obsessed with someone and they kidnap them. Not every day probably, but they, like, she kidnaps her favorite author, I can't say it right, author, and she kind of tortures him, and it's really, like I said, Kathy Bates just gives such a great performance. It just makes you feel so uneasy inside, and Kathy Bates just does such a great job. Anyway, I'm already talking for 11 minutes. I'm gonna keep going. Number 2 is Rosemary's Baby. I love this movie. I guess you would consider this another classic. I think Mia Farrow is at her best. It is such another atmosphere film. Like, the atmosphere is just so creepy, and you just feel for Mia Farrow the whole time. She has this look, just her as a person. She has a very innocent, very like childlike appearance, and you just feel for her the whole time. And all of not only does she do a good job, but the side characters, like the supporting cast, does such an amazing job. And I think the woman, I don't remember her name, the woman who plays the neighbor, won an Oscar for this movie, and it's totally deserved. It is so uneasy feeling, this whole movie, and you definitely are seeing it through Rosemary's eyes, and it is, it's so unnerving because, it's the creepiest feeling to not know that you're surrounded by people that you truly can't trust, but you don't know it. Like, you think the love of your life and your neighbors are like people that you can trust, but I don't know. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I don't want to ruin any of these for anybody, but it's a movie I always come back to because it is just such a well done movie, and Mia Farrow I think gives an amazing performance. And so that leads to my number 1 favorite horror movie, and that would be Jaws. I don't think I can go through a list without putting Jaws on there. I absolutely think this is my favorite movie of all time. It has stood the test of time for me. I've loved this since I was a small child. Weird that I loved this when I was a small child, but Steven Spielberg does an impeccable job. It was, if you know the history of this movie, it was almost impossible to make, and that's what almost helped the movie in the end because they weren't able to show the shark as much. And I really think that no shark movie has ever, and I've done a video on different shark movies if you want to go watch that. I'll put in a link down below. But I think shark movies have over time have tried to do what Jaws has done, and it has not succeeded. And I don't really think any creature feature has succeeded like Jaws has, because there's so much heart put into it, and heart put into the filmmaking of it, and the acting, the directing, cinematography. There was just so much care put into this movie that could have been such a B-list or B-movie thing. And I think it had been up until that point. It was a groundbreaking film for its time, and I think it still is. I think it still holds up, and it is such a great summer movie. It's a great horror movie, thriller, mystery, creature feature, whatever you want it to be. And it is my favorite horror movie and my favorite movie of all time. So that has been my list, guys. I know I talked forever. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. My light is about to go out. It is almost dark, and which is probably for the best. It's getting a little creepier in here. As the video went on, it got creepier and creepier. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to know, what are your favorite horror movies? Because horror movies are my thing, so I love talking about different horror movies with people. So definitely tell me what your favorite horror movies are down below. What did you think of my list? And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.